ping pong almost sounds like it was designed to humiliate somebody that was really passionate for it. The frivolousness of it, it was my access point. Like, what a great conduit to explore the costs that would be associated to any pursuit.
Everything in my life's falling apart, but I'm gonna figure it out.
Do you need any help? I could help you.
I know it's hard to believe, but I'm telling you, this game, it fills stadiums overseas.
And I wonder if you could talk a little bit about where you started with this story, being a table tennis fan, and then how you saw this grander idea for a film from there.
Emotionally and psychologically, the movie begins, with really the journey of making a 10-year film. Uncut Gems took 10 years, and it was a dream that for many years no one believed in, and it kind of hardened the dream, because every moment that passed where the dream was not being realized, made it more impossible. So there was an urgency that every single second I had to kind of pursue it, because no one else did. At least Ronnie as my co-writer, I would call him and say, we need a new draft by Wednesday. And he said, why? He said, because if we don't have it done by Wednesday, then we're not going to have it done by Thursday morning, which means we're not going to have it for the weekend. And there was this sense of, over-believing in it that was kind of followed through the entire journey of the film. And then towards the end of it, my wife bought me this book that opened up my eyes to the world of table tennis in 1952. And one thing that I really responded to in that book was the fact that there were a lot of these outsiders who had this dream that no one respected. And it made them believe in it even more, because they were embarrassed they felt a sort of humiliation for every day that passed that it didn't come true. They had to prove themselves, and that I could relate to that in an intense way. And then the movie finished, and I technically realized this dream, and I was doing a Q&A, and someone asked me, what's next? The most casual, innocent question. And I started to cry, because it wasn't about the destination. The dream was about the journey. I believe that a dream is a heist on fate. It's an attempt to kind of control your fate. And I think that's what you see in the film, is this man who he wants to see himself in this specific place. There's a Marty Supreme. There's a supreme version of himself. And the irony is that he ends up, the fate where he lands is the fate that was preordained for him from the beginning, except it means so much more because he went and followed this dream in its place.
So, Ronnie, what was your way in? And particularly given what Josh is talking about, this film is going to much bigger places than you guys have gone before, materially speaking. But this is still your, anxious, ambitious, dysfunctional New York that we know you guys do so well.
When Josh and I make a movie, the project is like a receptacle for us to throw in every life experience that we're having while we're making it. So when we finish a project, we don't have any ideas left. It's like we don't even have two ideas to rub together. Look, Josh loves table tennis. He loves to play it. He has a great aptitude for it. At the end of Gems, I was just like, my brain was like a petrified rock. I had nothing. So when he just like bursts into our office with his, natural elan, and just says, we have to make a movie about the world's greatest table tennis player, I was just like, oh my God, like what? I don't know. I have no relationship with the sport. I have no relationship with any sports at all. I was like, okay, what's going to be my access point? And it's not that different from what Josh is saying. It's like the word ping pong, right? It's almost like the word, like, okay, movies are very respected in our culture, thankfully. But if you think of like probably what the word movie sounded like to theater snobs in 1910, ping pong almost sounds like it was designed to humiliate somebody that was really passionate for it. And the frivolousness of it, it was my access point. I was like, oh, great. Like this thing gets no respect. This guy happens to be, it's not his fault. He happens to be the best on earth at something that gets no respect. Like what a great conduit to explore the costs that would be associated to any pursuit. All of the humiliations that are attendant to a pursuit that's fused with your identity, all the sacrifices that you have to make, all the sort of self-optimizing and selfish decision-making that it engenders, the way it holds you in place and turns you into a nomad because you can't commit to a job and you can't commit to a family because you have this idea for the future for yourself that's sort of preordained and it's holding everything else hostage. Once you understand the emotions of a character, Josh and I can then create the structure out of it.
I will say that just to add to that and to go back to your question for a second is, I think that it's one of the things that also interests us, because we're not historians by any means, but we found the footnote quality, the termite quality to this story, that the Japanese came out of isolation through table tennis. This is a true story. It's based, a man named Hiroji Sato, who was a watchmaker, was basically enlisted by Japan to go and beat everybody in 1952. It was in India. The place that Marty plays ping pong, the parlor that he's in, that was the first black-owned business in the Times Square district. There were these young men running around the world with an entitlement. America won the war. The American dream was this, a set of flame, basically, with our victory. And there was something fascinating to Ronnie and I when we started to look at history through this worm's eye view, through a very small perspective. It started to feel a lot bigger, like the Holocaust story that's based on a true story of a table tennis champion from 1939. And I find that little section to be as revealing from some movies I've seen that are entirely about the Holocaust.
Whether or not you come into this movie as a table tennis fan, this film is paced to the rhythm of table tennis in a really interesting way. Daniel, in your case, you were really inspired by it in terms of the music. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Sure. I think it was one of the early spotting sessions at your office. I sat down and I've read the script. I've watched it 1 or 2 times. I think I understand what's going on, but I don't really know what my role is till I close my eyes and I listen to the film. I'm closing my eyes and I'm finally, for the first time, really understanding what the sport of table tennis is about. There's a buoyancy to it. There's a quickness to it. And immediately I link that to the character and I understand that they're one and the same.
This is such a feat of casting, this film. It is a real testament to the way you approach this art. So can you just kind of give us an overview of when you're looking particularly at maybe folks who haven't acted before, like the great Kevin O'Leary, or, people who are in this business who are, say, Odessa, who is so great. What that balance looked like on this one.
I say casting is a portal that I use to understand humanity and every world. The thing that's so great about working with these guys is that the depth of the research and the backstory and the worlds that I get to go into that I would never probably cross paths with before, it makes this job so just deep. The process of making these films is the art form for me. We're not looking for non-actors just to do something cool. It's like, how can someone's life inform the written word in a way that someone else couldn't? And I think Kevin is an example of that. And Josh is a master coach, I would say. He treats every actor as if they're the star. And I think there's something that does for people to be seen that way, that they want to show up for it, and magic happens. And I think with Odessa, I had seen her a long time ago, and she's a unicorn of a human being. When Josh described Rachel to me, I just was like, it's her. But we went through a big process of seeing lots of people. She knew that she was my favorite. She was filming a movie in Budapest, and every night she would go and tape the scene, and then she would send it to me. And then we'd do it over and do it over and do it over. And then, I don't know how many last night maybe it was like 5 or 6. She sent it to me, and it was like cinematic gold. And I sent it to Josh and the producers and Ronnie. And this has only happened a couple times in my career. It was like seconds. He was like, oh my God, like, you were right.
Yeah, you feel silly when someone says something immediately and you go through the whole process and you land exactly where, I should have just listened to you the first time.
Skip, I'll bring you in as well. I could ask you about bringing New York to life through the sound. I mean, there's so many elements of the work you do on this film. I want to ask you about the climactic table tennis sequence set in Japan, and this movie takes the shape and scenes like that of a really riveting sports movie. And I wonder, from your perspective, what the work is like.
We kind of approached it in a fairly documentary style. We gathered a lot of sounds, a lot of sound effects, and a lot of voices. We have a lot of moving parts, and there are a lot of things happening. And during the process, a lot of things are happening well before I come onto the scene. Those things are super important for our main characters here on stage to work out. And there is a kind of an intermediate process where all that stuff gets worked out. And that informs the edit so that they can decide what's important in picture editing. And My role for that is we give them some things, ping pong sounds and crowd sounds, but we actually don't get started until later, and there's a kind of a break. And I imagine that Josh and Ronnie during that break take a deep breath, but then they see this big tsunami of stuff coming their way, and they realize that they're not done yet.
Yeah, I see when the process, when I get to the stage with you, I think that, what's most incredible about what you do is the three-dimensionality of the way you can see sound and separating things via frequency. And that's something that I've learned from you watching, is that, I'm a maximalist. If I can find a centimeter with a piece of furniture that fits in that, I'll build a piece of furniture that fits right into that. And he takes all of this sound, all this temp sound design, and he figures out a way to make it all legible. And it's hard. And I sit there right next to him, and huddling next to him, bothering him. And then we finish that part, and then the score comes in, and then it's got 150 tracks, and he goes one at a time, and he finds different places, different frequencies for that piece to sit so that nothing is crowding each other. And it's pretty amazing, because his job with a maximalist filmmaker like myself is really difficult, and it's invisible because it should be invisible.
Guys, thank you so much. We are at time.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you.